Hi there everyone, so today's card I'm going to use this new laundry line collection from My Mind's Eye, and I love these papers because they've all got some glitter on them and they're just gorgeous designs, and I think you get about 3 or 4 sheets of each of the designs, so it's going to last me a while, so that's good. I'm also going to use some colour, what's it called, Coordinations whitewash paper as well, just to print my design on. So what I've done here is I've printed my design, and it's a stamp from My Graphico called Best Friend Sticky Stamp Set or something like that. I'll have a link at the bottom. And I'm just colouring it in using my copic markers. And I've also listed the copic marker colours that I've used at the end of the video for those of you that are interested. And you can see I'm just building up the colour really slowly and just taking it off my little acrylic block there that I've just scribbled some of the base colour on, and I'm just using my colourless blender to put it onto the card and build up the colour so it's not too strong to begin with. I also don't have that many copic markers, so I'm using the red and the yellow here to make the orange shopping bag, and you can do that with the blender and it works really well. Anyway, just to get it off my colour block, I just use a bit of this Stays On cleaner and just squirt it straight on the block and then just rub it off with the baby wipe and it's as good as new. That's a good little tip. Here I'm using my very old corner punch that has these little gates on them, and I've just taken that whole thing off, and I'm just using it here to trim along the bottom to make a sort of scalloped edge. And if you look, you can just see the edge of the first scallop that I punched out, and that's when you punch out the next one. So as soon as you can see that gap, and then just keep on going across the whole length of the paper, and it gives a nice big scallop that you wouldn't get with a normal Fiskars scallop punch. And here I'm just adding some craft cardstock to the bottom of the card front, so it makes the card full again, so it's the proper length. I'm just sticking that down, and then just got to trim off these edges. And then I know it's all the right size. And here I'm just using my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper, and I'm just cutting using the 1/2 inch setting. I'm just cutting the top 2 corners of my design. I was just going to use the top left corner, but I decided to do them both in the end. And here's just some ribbon I bought from my local market, and it's beautiful, but I was just thinking, well, how on earth am I going to stick it down without, you know, using some glue that will show? And I found this glue runner, tape runner, and if you look, there's just little dots of glue, and they just stick to the bits that that it actually runs across. So there's no glue in the middle where there's no design, and so you can just load it up with the glue, and it'll just stick to the ribbon itself and not have any squidgy bits poking through all the holes, which I think is great. And it was perfect, and it's permanent as well, so it's not going to go anywhere once it's set. So here I'm just adding some pattern paper across the centre of the card, and that's from that laundry line collection that I showed you earlier. And again, I've made it too large so I can trim it exactly to size, and so I know it's going to be just right. And here I've got some more craft cardstock, and I'm just using my scallop punch from Stampin' Up, and I've made 2 strips, and I've cut them down to size, and what I'm going to do is stick them either side of my digital stamp topper that I already coloured in earlier. So I'm just cutting them both to the same size, so they're going to look like that eventually. So I want to raise the topper off those scallop designs, so I'm just going to use some 3-dimensional stickers on each of them. So I'm attaching those to the top of the design. And then I remembered I needed to actually stamp my sentiment before I stuck those on, otherwise it would make it impossible to do it. So I'm just using some Stays On, and I used a CD stamp set. I think it's called Blooming Friendships or something like that, but it will be at the credits at the end. I just stamped just a simple happy birthday underneath that digital stamp that I coloured in earlier. So now I can stick these on at the side. And that's just to give it a bit of added interest, and I've done that on both the left and the right hand side. Now I'm using some silk flowers, well just one silk flower should I say, and a brad to attach that to the card. I don't often use these silk flowers, I tend to just use or make my own paper flowers, so it made a nice change. So I'm just punching out a hole there with my crocodile. And here I'm just going to attach this with 3D stickers, so I'm putting just a layer of 1 height down the side and a layer of 2 height down the middle, if you can see there. So it's all they're all going to be flat, and the design will lay flat on the card base itself. And now I can attach that flower that I punched the hole out through earlier, just using that brad. I went a bit off camera here, I'm sorry. Then I decided I wanted to just round those bottom 2 corners. I didn't get the corner chomper quite set here first time, so I had to go over and do it again, but it's great because it just powers through it anyway, so it doesn't matter if you don't set it up quite right. And that's the finished card. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!